Welcome back to Jankowski Speeding Off-Road, where I'm going to show you how I painted this thing. There's a lot going on here, so stay tuned. I'm going to show you how I did this. Hey guys and gals, you're going to get voiceover John today because I didn't have much time to do any dialogue for any of this, so I'm doing it on the back end. Right now, I'm just cutting out the wheel wells to fit the go-kart tires. They're a little bigger, so I'm just cutting them out. And I'll go over that a little bit further on in the video here, but I'm just getting the body ready for paint. So just enjoy what you're watching right now. Definitely sits a little better. I do feel kind of bad cutting that out, but problem is it's not. These sit in, where was this at? Yeah. That sits in a long ways, where that sits so much better. Oh, just gotta clean it up and cut the other side out to match. I'll show you what I did before to get these to fit. So this used to come down like this, but this tire would hit. It was way in before. So I cut this out, and now it looks goofy. Now it looks like the tire's set back in there. So I'm just gonna cut these out, redo the wheel wells. I mean, it'll look sort of normal. Oh yeah, a little cleanup. That'll look good. Yeah, it's tracking way wider now. Cool. And now I'm just grinding off all the random stuff that doesn't need to be on here. They had little deals sticking out for, must have been for the wiper blades. I'm just going through with my Milwaukee band file, cleaning those all off. They also had a lot of, you can see like lines where it's supposed to be the outline of the fender and the outline of the door, and they're just really shallow lines that were cut in and they weren't done very well. So I just sanded them all out with 80 grit and then filled them in with just body filler. Right now I'm just sanding, getting everything all smoothed out. Yeah, I got rid of the cowl vents, the door handles. There was a gas door on there. It was just like a indentation. And yeah, just smoothed everything out, because for the next steps of painting, having all those tiny little grooves to try sand every time was going to be terrible. Okay, the body work is done, or as done as I'm going to get it. I think those wheel wells turned out nice. And I filled in all the door jambs. So this will be smooth. I also filled in like the cowl vent here. Just because of the way they did it, they were kind of just goofy. They didn't really show anything. I would have had to sit there and grind it out to make it look right, because they were just kind of halfways done. Same way here, got rid of the door handle. There was a fuel filler here. On this side, all it was just an indentation, so that's filled in. So yeah, that should be good to go. And it did fix that rear bumper too. That side was busted out. So it should be good. Next up is to get this thing primed and prepped again. All right, now we're at my father-in-law's shop where he actually helped me save some time and took it and shot some PPG sandable primer on it, just so he could save some time. So when I get there, we could just sand it down with 600. And then now I'm going to shoot it with a lime line, I think it's a urethane black base coat before I do the flake. And this whole project was done with just a Harbor Freight Spectrum like HVLP gun. I think it's a 1.7 tip. I pretty much did everything other than the primer with this gun. So I did 3 coats of black base on it with about 10 to 15 minutes in between each coat to kind of let it flash off. Obviously temperature and humidity really play a factor in that. I think it was around like 65, 70 in there and the humidity was pretty low. So that worked out for me, but it might be a little different for you. All right, now the fun stuff. We're gonna shoot some flake on this thing. It's just a silver flake. It's essentially just like glitter. It's a lime line flake. You just mix it with 16 ounces of clear coat. I used lime line clear. And then you're just gonna just spray 3 coats on there. And you're usually waiting about 15 minutes per coat. And then once you're done with that, we're gonna mix up just a normal batch of clear, and we're gonna do 3 more coats of clear over the top of that, just to kind of really bury that flake in there. And look at that. That turned out so nice. It's exactly the way I wanted it to turn out. And it'll really help out for the next steps we're gonna do here, which is sanding it again. So we're ready for our graphics and our candy. I have the car back home. It's been about a week since I did the flake and all that on here. So now I'm going to sand it with 600 so you can get ready to put the graphics and the candy on it. So let's get to that. Hey, and like I said, I'm just using a 600 grit sanding sponge. Some of it I'm doing wet, some of it dry. I am also using a red Scotch-Brite pad to get into all the little nooks and crannies because there is a lot on that little body. And you want to make sure that there is no shiny paint left. You don't want to sand through, you just want to rough it up for the next coats. Just make sure there's nothing shiny. Now I'm going to start laying out the graphics. I'm just taping off the center and then the sides of the hood to kind of get some points where I could go off of to actually lay the graphics out and make it look semi sort of the same on either side. And now I'm actually starting to lay out the graphics. I'm using a fine line, like a 1/16 inch fine line tape, and just do whatever you want. Let your imagination go wild. It's just tape. Try some stuff out. If it doesn't work, just take it back off and try it again. It's really not that bad. And yeah, I'm not going off of a set deal here. This is just me making a design that I think looks cool. And then the toughest part is mirroring it on the other side and making it look semi sort of the same. I didn't get it perfect. Not saying I'm perfect. Just do what makes you happy on that. Next is laying out graphics. Not gonna lie, this is kind of my first time doing actual graphics. I've painted tons of stuff. Usually it's just one color. So right now I'm just using a 2-inch piece of tape and a Harbor Freight Black Widow airbrush, and then I'm using a Lime Line black candy, and I'm just doing the fans on it right now. And if you can see, it's kind of hard to see in the video, but I actually measured out and marked out little dots on the tape lines for the graphics to line up the tape so the fans look semi sort of uniform. But yeah, I'm just going back and forth and filling them in. And then now I'm just using a Lime Line stencil that's for fish scales, and I'm just gonna keep repeating that over and over and over again and offsetting it a little bit either way every time, and just keep working my way down the panel until the whole thing's covered. Now we're just switching to the hood, and I'm doing the exact same thing I did on the back, doing fans and scales, and then I'm also going around the borders to kind of give it a fade. Now I'm just spraying lace on the sides. I didn't get a piece of lace that was the entire length of the car, so I kind of had to make it fit. I didn't really get it lined up very well when I did the second half, so there's a little overlapping. But I'm just spraying inside the graphics, and then there I am just spraying around the edges, and that kind of cleans everything up and gives it a nice fade. And now we finally get to shoot on the purple candy. And this is another lime product. They do not have, to my knowledge, they don't have a purple. I tried finding it, so you actually have to mix your own color. So this is 70% clear base, 15% blue, and 15% red. And then you reduce it to however much you want. They don't give you anything to tell you how much to reduce it. I should have reduced it more. It came out fairly dark. So that's the thing to consider if you're going to do purple. Make sure you reduce it enough. And this is just the first coat. I threw a second coat on and it got much darker. Start taking all the tape off. And when you do this, I would wait until the paint dries enough. This is before the clear coat. This is just the purple candy. There's no clear on it yet. But if you start pulling tape off when it's too wet, it'll actually start pulling the candy off, and then you have a mess. And another thing while pulling the tape off, just make sure to do it very slowly. Obviously this is sped up. It took, I bet, an hour or so to pull all the tape off of this thing. But go slow and pull back on itself. Oh, and that's also a little toolbox that I painted my daughter too. It's actually a Harbor Freight, like one of those $17 toolboxes that everybody was wanting during Christmas. This is after 3 decently heavy coats of clear. I tried to bury everything. You can see it's a little lumpy just from the graphics that are under it. That's all gonna have to get wet sanded and buffed, and that should be nice and smooth. All right, the car is together. I don't have the stacks in right now. We actually just got back from Omaha. We went down to Omaha, went to the World of Wheels and Speedway's Museum of Speed. Got to check that all out. We took this with, pushed my daughter around in it, and it was fun. It was a really good time. Everybody loved this thing. But I still haven't finished much of the paint stuff yet. I still need to wet sand and buff this thing. The sides are fairly rough. I did a lot of lace on the side, and it's just kind of rough because of that. And when I was spraying it, it just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. I mean, it's not bad, but we're gonna wet sand and buff this thing, get rid of the orange peel. The top I'm probably gonna leave. It actually turned out really nice. So I have my Harbor Freight bucket filled with warm water and a little bit of dish soap. And all I have is 2000 grit. You really should step it up, you know, whatever you guys use. But I guess I'm just going to use 2000. It's probably going to take a little longer, but let's get to it. So yeah, I'm just going to try sand mostly in between the lines that I made. There's little ridges on them. I did 3 fairly heavy coats of clear on this, but it would suck if I sanded through on all this. So probably just going to try sand in between. That's really about all I need to do anyway. It's not that bad, but just to make it look a little nicer, do that. I want to stay away from all of the edges. It's cutting it pretty well. It's about as far as I'm going on the sides of it. I just sanded in between these and here. You can see there's still some shiny stuff there. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll look way better than this. See how rough that is? And yes, I know there are people out there that are way better than I am at painting. I really don't care. That's what wet sanding's for. Okay, we're gonna try buff this. Gonna use just a drill with a small buffing pad. Using a big buffer would be a little overkill. Oh yeah, not perfect, but way better. This is just like high cut Meguiar's mirror glaze. And you could buff this by hand, but I had this nifty little pad. I just got this, I don't even know where I got it from. Well, I know where I got it from. It was a, I get back to the 50s, some of those car shows where they have the tool guys with all the tables. Yeah, it's just like an adapter and some pads that I got. They work pretty good. They were cheap. Trying not to make a mess. I probably shouldn't be wearing these black pants. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. It's not perfect, but compared to that, I mean, yeah, there's some wobbles, but it's a fiberglass body that I barely did any body work to. I'd say that looks pretty darn good. Maybe I'll wet sand that and buff it too. That is a pretty big area. We'll try it out. All right. We got it all buffed out with the rubbing compound. Thing looks nice. We're gonna swap out this pad here. It's like this is more of a stiffer pad, more of a cutting pad. This is a really soft polishing pad. And we're gonna use some Ultra finishing polish. Still, it's got a little bit of a cut to it, but it'd be way better. These just Velcro on. Gotta make sure, since this is so soft, not to dig in with the edge because you might hit the paint with the drill. Just a little dab on there, we'll wipe it on. Don't want to put too much on, you're just gonna sling it everywhere and it'll get all over you and get all over everything else. Just using a terry cloth, wipe this thing off. Oh ho ho, buddy. This feels like glass. Slightly rough glass, but glass nonetheless. There, that side is as done as that's going to be. Well, other than I have a sticker being made for the side, but we'll show you that later. Yeah, now that it's all smooth, you can kind of see, it's so hard to see because this color ended up getting way too dark. There's lace in here. It's really difficult to see it. When you're out in the sun, you can kind of see it. But let's see if I can get better lighting on here. There it is. You can see it there. And on the bottom. Hey, thanks for watching. Hopefully that helps out anybody that wants to try to do something like that. Remember, it's actual automotive paint, and it's not good for you if you breathe that in. So wear an actual respirator. Have good ventilation, and just be careful. I don't have the car with me right now. I actually just dropped it off over at the FM Crusaders bike show. I know it's not a bike, it's a little car, but they took it. So we're going to see how that does. And I'll also have a link in the description of most of the stuff that I use to do the paint on that. I will get a small kickback if you buy any of it or anything like that. No cost to you. And it'll help the channel, it'll help me build some other cool things. So please like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a good day.